that video.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed the highlights of the Ironman 70.3 Gulf Coast in Panama City Beach, Florida. Wanted to give you all a race recap and how everything went down. So really kind of before the race, it was pretty eventful. We had to make sure we got to Panama City Beach safe and sound and make sure we had some gas. We had a little bit of a gas shortage we had to deal with, but we were very fortunate to get some and make it safely to Panama City. Coming into town, we did a course overview. We were able to drive the back half, technically the full course of the bike. But coming into town, we got to take a look at some of the small hills and the small inclines and falls flats that we'll tackle on race day. And take a look at the weather, make sure everything was going to look good for race day, maybe adjust according to how the wind and everything was going to play out. So come race day, we ended up having, I would say, really, really great conditions, the best conditions that I could tell and gather from previous races. The race weather was pristine. Definitely still had some wind out there. So to start with, we had a 1.2 mile swim, and it was a little bit choppier, a little bit more waves and swells on the swim than the day before the race. The day before the race was actually very calm. So that was a little bit of a surprise for some of the swimmers. But kind of growing up in Florida, I've been used to swimming and doing a lot of water activities out there on the ocean. So I actually really enjoyed the swim. It was still very clear for the most part, and you can see all the way down to the bottom. So I had a great swim. About a month, maybe actually 2 months ago, I did an open water swim in a lake and ended up splitting about 35 minutes and change, and ended up going sub 30 on the 1.2 mile open water swim at the race, which was a new PR for me by over 5 minutes. So I was very excited with the result there. Ended up coming out of transition with my heart rate kind of high, had to get that settled on the bike. But I ended up just kind of locking into my pace and locking into my power that I was trying to hold for the entirety of the bike course. And, I was passing some people, getting passed by a few athletes out there. It wasn't too discouraging, getting past. I knew I was trying to stay within myself because I had a half marathon to run after the bike. But my bike ended up averaging about 23.25 through 50 miles. And once I hit the 50-mile mark, we turned straight into a headwind coming back into the transition. So my overall average was, I think, just under or right around 23 miles an hour flat. And I was very pleased, though, with that result, with the 2-hour, 27-minute and change bike split. Going into the run, I kind of fumbled with in transition in T2. That's definitely one of the areas I think I can improve on, making sure that I have everything in my pockets. I had to basically run back to my transition area to get a couple things of nutrition that I just completely blanked on. So other than that, I was able to get out on the course, had my Red Bull with me the first couple miles, locked into my pace of around 6:40. In terms of the execution on my run, I would say I wanted to execute that a little differently. Wanted to go out a little bit more conservative the first 5K, but instead I ended up going out right on my kind of 6:40 average that I was shooting for, and it felt great though. It felt good through like 9 to 10 miles, but had to end up walking the last few miles of the race, really last 2 miles. And just walked the aid stations and started running again. Did some 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off until, kind of got to the last half mile and just said, let's start focusing on that finish line. So I ended up running the last half mile pretty strong and finished well. Overall, I pretty much achieved my goal. I went 4 hours, 36 minutes, and about 40 seconds. And my goal was to go right around 4.5 hours for the entire race. So in terms of my race day execution, I'd say it was pretty solid. There's definitely a few things I can work on, and there always will be, just to get faster, just get more efficient and comfortable with the race demands. But other than that, I wanted to leave you with kind of the 3 E's that I've kind of boiled everything down to in terms of my experience, with this event, training for it and everything. And those are enjoy the process, execute your race plan, and experience new limits. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. I would definitely like to include maybe a few topics that you would like to discuss in some short videos, and or maybe a longer video that might take a little more time to explain. But I'd love to hear your feedback, and I look forward to hearing back from you soon. Thank you and have a great day. Take care.